on your side, but this is the software. There we are. We are now live, Dana. So fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen who will be looking at this on the archive in the future at any time, this is Eddie Doyle speaking from Checkpoint Software in our New York office. New York home office in my case, and talking to Dana Katz. Hello, Dana, who is the head of product marketing for us in our head office in Tel Aviv, Israel, but in actual fact in Dana's home too. So here we are.
Hey,
how you
everybody.
Doing? All right, fantastic. Good. I'm always tickled to bits to have head office folks on a live stream, Dana. So this is exciting for me. And you know why? Because I first joined Checkpoint in 2008. As a channel manager in Western Canada. And of course, we have new hire orientation, right? And I was tickled to bits to hear that Checkpoint sends all new employees out to Israel, to Tel Aviv, for a 1 week, indoctrination into the Checkpoint way. But what I thought was beautiful about it is, I think just how close to the heart it is for all of you folks in head office to host people from around the world and actually educate them on what is Israel all about. Because I knew nothing, not nothing, but very little. I'd never been. I traveled extensively around the world. I've been to Asia, haven't been to the African continent yet, been all over Europe, obviously where I grew up. I've been fair met in the Americas. People don't think about them going to the Middle East for vacation, right? Since then, I've taken my family on vacation to Israel. I mean, it's such a great place to go. So yeah, that's why I'm excited to have a head office person. Why don't we start here? Did you grow up in Israel? Let's start here.
Yeah, I did.
Sports, like what did you do growing up? Like what was interesting for you?
So I grew up really next to Tel Aviv, which I'm staying in, which I live with my family right now. So it's in the central of Israel. Okay. And growing up, I, used to have a lot of hobbies. Sometimes I wonder, I wish I could, turn back to time and I could have so many hobbies and doing so many stuff. But, I used to dance and do some sports, running, and playing, going to scouts. All kinds of things that you do in Israel. Everybody goes to the scouts where I used to live. So a lot of
this sounds very much like a North American lifestyle, quite honestly. What about water sports? Because we've got so many colleagues that do this unbelievable surfing, windsurfing. You got the Mediterranean there. Were you engaged in that at all?
So occasionally, yes, but never did it like in a professional way.
Yeah.
I live next to the beach, so I can, grab a surfboard sometimes and just surf like the big ones. I don't know how to call it in English, but not the professional one, but like the one you can control. So right. Yeah, occasionally, but not professionally.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, fabulous. So you are a head of product marketing at one of the world's leading cybersecurity companies. Now, prior to me being involved in cybersecurity, and actually in 2008 was my first involvement in cybersecurity, I have a debt of gratitude toward Checkpoint because they took a risk on me. I had no previous cyber background, worked out so well. But I had always assumed that someone with a title, head of product marketing for a cybersecurity company like Checkpoint Software, we're in something like over 90 countries across the globe now, that you would have had to have had like a PhD in cybersecurity. I'm slightly teasing you, but tell us, how was your career path? And let's start with school and if you went to university, and then how you got to Checkpoint, because I'm very interested to understand the background knowledge and experience that was necessary for you to attain this role as head of product marketing for us.
So in high school, I studied computers. But, when I went to university, I decided that, it was nice and I liked it, but I don't know if I want to get a degree out of it. So I turned out to study some, economics in Tel Aviv University, and then in IDC. It's a different university. I studied economics and marketing, business management. This is where I found my sweet spot. Okay. I found myself really interested in the marketing aspect, and during the school we used to have a lot of hands-on projects with real-life companies. So it was really something I knew right away that this is what I want to do when I finish school. Okay. In the Army, just before university, I didn't work in cybersecurity specifically, but I was in the border in doing more working with combat soldiers, doing some intelligence role, but not in the way of cyber, but different intelligence role. So intelligence was always something I was close to and was very interested in. So it kind of come all together. My computer studies in high school, then some intelligence in the Army, later on in university, some marketing, business, and business management, economics. So found myself taking everything all together, starting to work for right after school, working for a cosmetic company. Find myself writing a lot of collaterals and marketing brochures, writing the content for the websites.
So what kind of company was that?
It was a cosmetic company.
Oh, cosmetics. Okay, interesting. Wow. All right, go on.
Yeah, it's a global company with over 150 stores worldwide.
Okay.
Selling Israeli-based cosmetic, and I used to do all their collaterals, writing all the things on their website, social posts, brochures. Found myself really enjoying it, but wanted to take it to the next level. So I started working at a company called Experitest that was recently acquired by Digital AI. Experitest was a startup company that basically built automation tools for developers and QA engineers.
Oh, okay.
So it was very successful companies. What we have developed is testing platforms for mobile apps and web apps. So when I started there, I was like the 12th employee. It was very small companies when I finished there. But before I moved to Checkpoint, we were almost 150 employees. So we grew dramatically and we did an amazing job. And my job there was basically a product marketing. Back at the time, there was no phrase product marketing. I don't know if you know, but product marketing is a very new term, something like 5-6 years before that. It was just marketing, or specific people within the marketing. So
I wouldn't mind digging into a little bit of detail here, but I want to first say hello to Gabby Milan. Gabby, hello. That's very kind of you to say so, that you want to work with us, guys. By all means, my friend, head to checkpoint.com, I think /careers, but you can find it there. And actually, Dana, I don't know if you just saw that we were voted on the Forbes top employers in the world. Amazing achievement, right? So it's I believe it's just called Forbes Best Places to Work, something like that. So Gabby, yeah, by all means, my friend, if you're serious about that, I know you've got a fun emoji there, but it's a lot of fun to work here. And certainly you can reach out at any time or find myself and Dana on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's right. So marketing is marketing. But I would imagine, you tell me if I'm right here, I would imagine that really since the last 30 years of going really digital, I mean, before 30 years, there were no real a little bit of personal computers in the 1980s. I remember my Commodore 64, but it was just for playing, right? Otherwise, it was businesses that had, computers. But then the world turns digital, and general marketing is not a specific enough discipline for especially companies like ours, which we have highly technical products. And so a specialty was created, which is product marketing. Would you agree? Is that kind of what happened to the industry?
Exactly. So as I was saying, when I was started at product marketing at my previous company, there wasn't really a role of product marketing, but there was a need in articulating the message, right? What is the product doing? So we needed, what I was doing and what I'm still doing, and what my team is doing is working very closely with the developers, with the R&D, with the people who build the products, right? With product management, with people who plan the product, with the field, the people that sell the product and get feedback, right, from the market.
Right.
So we take, we aggregate all the information that we get from these groups, right? We're talking to customers as well, to the field, to the developers, and to the product managers. And we're kind of articulating the message. What do we want to say about this product, right? What's the competitive edge of this product? What's the value it brings to customers? And we're spending a lot of time in figuring out. We're connecting all the dots together. We're working with the competitive team, everything just to articulate the value of the message. And once we do it, right, once we nail it, we need to get everyone's on board with us, right? So we align all the stakeholders together. We build the messaging of the product, and this is where we kick off our job, right? This is where we start. Right. This is our starting point, because we take this great messaging that we've created, and what we do, we just plan a full marketing plan based on this messaging, and not just the messaging, the target audience. We define the target audience. So in a nutshell, product marketing is, delivering the right message to the right audience in the right medium, right?
The medium being whether it's social media or print media. That's the medium. Okay.
Anything. And the thing about our job is that we need to always think out of the box, right? Digital, everything is digital these days, right?
Yeah.
So, we can say digital, but there's no offline anymore. So, but there's all kinds of way to interact in a digital way, right? There are webinars, which everyone are familiar with this format, right? There are podcasts, fine, everybody knows that. But our job is really to find a way through the noise, right?
Yeah.
Find the right person. Let's say there's product X, right? At Checkpoint, for example, I'm in charge of the product suite Harmony. And
this is what I wanted to dig into. Exactly. So can we actually use a case study, as it were, like a real world case study? So Harmony, so can you go back in history? How many years have you been with us now?
So I've been at Checkpoint for 3 years.
3 years.
Right? So okay. I was saying I was working at Expertis before for 6 years. And I moved to Checkpoint. I really wanted to pivot to the cybersecurity industry. I found it extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so I was, marketing for developers before and QA engineers, and it was fine. It was cool. But cybersecurity is, wow. It's just amazing how interesting everything I read and everything I touch every day, every article, every social post. I'm really.
New threats every day, so it's a new day every day. And I think, I get a fair bit of satisfaction from knowing that the organizations, that we are, selling things to are better off, safer. I like that. So I would love to do a little bit of a case study, though. Let me get to a couple of Gabby's comments, and then I'm going to come back to the case study. So prepare your thoughts on something like in the last 3 years, has there been a time where you've taken a product from nothing to launch? I would love to understand that, and we'll talk about that specific product, and then we'll talk about how it is some people, why it's so important to understand the right messaging, because people can misunderstand, right? People can not ultimately, it's comparing apples to apples. This is what the consumer has to do from a customer standpoint. They have thousands of web pages for one vendor alone, and there's something like 800-900 mature cybersecurity companies out there. So that's 900 times thousands of web pages. How are we going to find differentiation amongst that? So if I want to go to this comment though. So Gabby's saying that he'd been trying to get to Checkpoint for a while, but you're self-taught. Gabby, I'm self-taught. I was a former English teacher 22 years ago, so a long time ago. Don't worry about being self-taught, man. Just get in there. Hardworking, smart, right, ethical, a great human being. You're in the door for a conversation with that kind of qualification. Okay, and then hey, thanks for throwing this out there for Dana. Apparently you're super smart, Dana. I think
thank you.
So well done. Fantastic.
So nice of you.
And we also have Moran saying, Dana, you inspire me, best product marketing team. Oh, that's wonderful. So you're getting accolades, my friend, already. So yeah, can you walk us through a journey? Has there been something in the last 3 years that's gone from nothing to market launch that you've had your fingerprint on the whole time?
Yeah, so I had several launches, right? Really exciting launches. Like, a year ago, we've launched Infinity SOC, which is Checkpoint SOC platforms that enable security operation to find incident and battle them. But I really want to talk about something we've launched recently, just in late, in March, this March. 2021. This was the launch of the Harmony product suite. So up until this point, right, Checkpoint, other companies used to sell user and access security, like endpoint security or mobile security or email security as this separate solutions, right? So what companies used to do is basically, maybe you're still doing it, buying best of breed, or buying endpoint security from one vendor and email security from another vendor. And what we've launched in this March 2021 is the Checkpoint Harmony product suite. Basically, it's the industry's first unified solution for users, devices, and access. Right. So a company could just procure from Checkpoint a subscription, and pay per user per year, and basically gain 360-degree protection for this specific user. And the acceleration for the launch was, of course, the COVID-19, right? So people working from home, and they use every device. They use their personal smartphones. They're using their laptops. They're using their home PCs. They're accessing corporate applications. Companies have been opening their, applications to remote access, and sometimes on loose fashion. And the attack surface is increasingly expanding for many companies. So what we've launched is the industry's first unified security solution, and a great business plan where you can just procure everything from Checkpoint and get a complete user and access security, endpoint security, access security, zero trust network access, internet access security, mobile security, email and collaboration app security. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but basically 6 products in one product. And they pay per user per year. So we wrapped it all together. We call this product Harmony. We did a reposition of the entire thing. Of course, this is supported with a product and a unified portal that, a security professional can manage everything from a cloud-based portal. So there's it's a product, it's a solution, a unified solution.
Entirely in the cloud, or also on-premise equipment as well?
So some companies, right, have been very highly regulated verticals like banking and financials would want to have everything on-prem, and for them, Checkpoint is still providing an on-prem solution. But we can ignore the fact that most companies are moving more and more applications to the cloud, and as consequently also their security stack is moving to the cloud. So the core of Harmony, it's a SASE solution. Basically, it's a SASE solution, secure access service edge. It means cloud delivered network solution. This is where Harmony Connect, which is a big part of the Harmony product suite, is getting into the picture. And basically, Harmony Connect is a cloud delivered security for users. So you can access your Checkpoint research, right? Your Marketo or your Salesforce application or your Office 365 application. You don't have to route through the data center to the appliance and back to you, right? It caused a lot of latency. So you're going through the cloud. So Checkpoint transferred all its security services to the cloud. So basically, Checkpoint Harmony it's a cloud-based, cloud-delivered security solution, which also available for different regulated industries as an on-prem option as well. Anyway, so what we've done, we created a whole new messaging for Harmony, right? So we talked with a lot of customers and a lot of partners and developers and sales engineer, field managers, everyone. What's the biggest pain? What are customers' biggest pain? What are their challenges, right? So we've come to the understanding after articulating everything, which is conflicts management, cumbersome, multiple consoles that they need to manage all the time, and different policies that they need to manage, and all the policies contradict each other, right? Because you have a policy for email and you have a policy for that. So cumbersome management, this is one challenge. The second one is high cost, right? If you buy best of breed from different solution, you need to pay for integration, and you need to pay for all these security ban hours to manage all these consoles. This is a total cost of ownership that is very high and very high to maintain. And the third thing, which is the most important one, it's they're not getting enough security. They're not getting the highest level of security because it creates a lot of security gaps if you're using patch security. So Harmony, as basically what we articulated, is the stream message, right? So it's simple management, right, from the cloud, from a unified policy, unified management. Second one is low TCO, right? Achieve higher return on investment, and the third one is the highest level of security, which is the most important one. It's a shame I'm saying it last, but highest level of security. So whether users are protected from ransomware and malicious downloads and malicious emails and malicious application that they might be downloading from App Store, from any kind of threat across all vectors, across every device. It's one of the organization-based challenge these days is to secure the remote workforce, because they don't want security to be a bottleneck. They want to keep their users secure, but they still want them to have access to everything and be productive and work everywhere from any device. So Harmony solves this big issue, right? That that the industry came across during the COVID-19. So we came up with the great messaging, and we validated it, and then we created a whole new collateral based on this one. So we needed to rebrand everything. We created a whole new websites and videos, and we launched this thing. And then this is where I come to the point. We want to generate demand for Harmony, but we didn't want it to be another webinar. Let's do a webinar series or a podcast. Because I feel, Eddie, and with all the respect to our format today, which is a webinar, people have webinar fatigue, right? I do also have webinar fatigue.
Right.
So how many Zoom can you attend? How many online conference can you attend? This is a big dilemma for marketers. Seriously, I'm joining a lot of sessions and online sessions and conferences for CMOs and marketing and head of marketing. And, this is one of the biggest issues these days. There's no offline meetings and no offline conferences. So how can we engage in a creative way and give real value without, forcing a person to join another Zoom for 40, 50 minutes to listen about a technology? So what we've created is this. We created the security assessment. Right? So we created a tool that we've been working on extensively. Seriously, I'm not kidding, Eddie, 3 months. We've been working with the R&D and the product manager to come up with a calculator that will help security professionals to calculate their risk, right? And it's not just like a marketing fluff or, a marketing app or something. It's a real calculator. So if you're going to checkpoint.com, by the way, it's on the homepage, right? Calculate your risk, and we ask people 10 questions because we don't want to bother them too much, right? 10 questions.
Okay, and what's the name of this calculator if the audience goes to checkpoint.com?
Remote Workforce Security Assessment. If you go into checkpoint.com right now.
Security assessment. And do you know what? Press pause on this amazing dialogue, because I'm just going to bring in a couple of comments and questions like that. We can thread it into the conversation. I'm loving this, by the way. Okay. I'm not even going to attempt to say your name, my friend. I don't know how to do that one. I'm going to call you Abe, maybe. Tell us where you're from. That's really interesting. And obviously, English is your second language, my friend, and you're doing really good. So yes, we will help you slightly on this conversation. I don't want to veer too much from the discipline and excellence that Dana's developed in product marketing, but absolutely. And if you continue to look at the archives, you'll see many of these kinds of AMA series in the Checkpoint LinkedIn page. Are you joining us from there? Yeah, and also at our YouTube channel. So we'll do that. And then I've got Bhupinder. Hello. I think you've dialed in before to our show. So thank you so much for coming back. And you're saying how many firewalls, email security appliances, web security appliances can Harmony perform or support? Or is it all on one device? Well, it's either cloud or hybrid or on-prem. And you tell us how many devices. I mean, look, we have customers with hundreds of thousands of users. So up to you. But I don't think we are limiting the number, right? Because we're looking at it differently, Bhupinder. I think what Dana was saying at the beginning is it's a per user cost now, which I love that, right? Because it's like, how many employees do you have? Go, here's your price. So that's wonderful. And then somebody dialing in from YouTube just saying a thank you for thanking us. All right. So Dana, let's try and weave a little bit of that in. And if you don't get solid answers from us, just go to Checkpoint. You can also reach out to me anytime. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. Eddie Doyle, Manhattan. Done. I'm the only guy that comes up. So, okay, Dana. So what you were saying there is that you've done this market research. By the way, how do we do that market research? You came up with the 3 things that people needed, because we've got that surveys department. Is that how we do it? Yeah, right. So you're surveying enterprise.
Big and very talented survey department at Checkpoint, and we use it to take almost every decision, right? Every time we launch a product or we decide on a feature of a product, right? So we test the audience group, the specific audience group. So if we launch, for example, a SOC platform like Infinity SOC back at the time, so of course we did, and it's a common practice, it's a good practice, but and the same thing with marketing. If you want to understand pains of the market and our customers, so we perform such surveys. Yes,
that's true. Yeah, a couple of years ago, so I'm out of the New York office. We actually hired one of those companies where you've got the mirror, right? And you had a bunch of IT kind of directors and a few CISOs coming in behind and they have no idea what they're answering questions about.
Focus
group, that's right. And we were sitting behind the mirror, taking notes, recording everything. It was really interesting. So this is what I wanted the audience to understand. Look at all this work before we even get to making a product, right? It's just finding out what's hurting you right now, CISO. Like, what are the big pains? And as you said, COVID accelerated the launch of this Harmony, this unified system. All right, so yes, we've done the research. Now we're coming out with a solution. You are testing the market. I think that's the place you got to, right, with your terminology.
Exactly. So coming back to what we've decided on doing, right? So we wanted to do something different, and and we had webinars, and we're doing webinars for Harmony all the time. It's not that we've decided that we're going to abandon the webinar format, but
Sure.
we want to do something different. So we created this remote workforce security assessment, and everyone that is hearing us now, like, I invite you to go right now to checkpoint.com and check it out. It's right in front of you on the second band on the homepage.
Right.
So once you start this assessment, you need to answer 10 questions, right? And this is not just for everybody. This is questions for the security professional, for the security admin in organizations. So we're asking him about, how, for example, he's been scaling remote access, right? And how is he protecting mobile devices, or what applications for collaboration does he use for email and collaboration? How does he allow remote how he allow remote access for remote employees? Is it just from a VPN connection? Is it from a headquarters only? Is it like from BYOD devices, bring your own devices? From and how? So we take all these questions, like all these answers, into consideration. We built an algorithm. We actually built an algorithm that calculates the cyber risk altogether, and we give them an overall risk, right? So, like, I don't know, you have 20% vulnerability, and then we divide this vulnerability into sub vulnerabilities, right? So we tell them, like, you're 80% secure only. Find what are your main security gaps. And then we tell them, right? So you have 10% of it's endpoint security. You're very vulnerable in endpoint security because you don't have recovery from ransomware encrypted file, for example. Okay.
Right.
So we produce for every person that takes this assessment a very detailed report about his security gaps. And this report he can share with his colleagues, he can share with his management, he can take a deeper look. So again, this is not like we've invested and working really hard with the development team, with the product management team, to come up with a tool that would give real value, not just like a marketing value. It's not about us, it's about them. It's about how we can help them. So really less about, listen, Harmony and Harmony that and Harmony does that. It's about, listen, first you need to understand your security posture. You need to understand how vulnerable you are. Once you understand that, let's open a discussion, right? We can introduce you with Harmony. We can show you how we can save, increase your ROI, reduce your TCO, reduce complexity, increase your security level, of course, and so forth. So I'm a big believer of providing value to the customers before, going ahead and tell them about what I do, how my product is better than them. First, in product marketing, basically at Checkpoint, we believe in a lot of thought leadership, right? So, if, for example, I have a team of 6 product marketing managers working on my team. Each one of them is handling a different product. So let's say endpoint security. So, we invest heavily in educating the market, like buyer's guide to endpoint security. What are the top 5 must-have protection for endpoint security? What are the 5 key considerations when choosing an endpoint security? Yes, we want to market Harmony Endpoint. We want to tell them about our product, but we do a lot of best practices webinars and a lot of white papers and ebooks talking about, in general, endpoint security. This is an information that we've been gathering for a long time from our security expert at Checkpoint. So
right.
That brings a lot of value. So value first, content is king, and value first, and then talking about our products.
Do you know, I mean, the word marketing, I think, still rings in people's ears, those that don't work in it, or even in the non-digital world that do work in marketing. It still rings in that. There was a show, I think, on HBO with Don Draper, and I forget the name of the show, but it was like a Madison Avenue show. People still think of billboards, print media, social media. This is, while it includes it, this is engineering standards. This is what I'm hearing, right? I'm hearing algorithms, calculators, obviously there is very serious consequence to people getting threat actors penetrate their organization. So, it's not throwing up billboards. We should almost give it a different name, right? To accurately describe the depth of technical knowledge and detail that you and your team are putting into this. It's more of a, engineering access, or helping people understand the engineering depths of a very important product. It's something along those lines. It's a completely different animal than what I thought it was, coming into this conversation.
So, when I interviewing people or meet people, it tells me they want to work at Checkpoint, they want to work at my team. So, and sometimes I want to hire everybody, but I cannot. Because what we're looking at, we're looking for very special creatures that can do product marketing. They need to be hybrid, right? They need a really deep understanding of technology, right? They need to understand the cybersecurity domain, and they need to understand technology and B2B and enterprises' needs when it comes to software, when it comes to security. So this takes, maybe prior knowledge, maybe experience, right? So as I said, I didn't do any major or my university in computers, right? It's all from high school and everything. I've learned more about business and economics and marketing, but I've gained real life experience that I never acquired in university, in working in the B2B tech industry for, I think, almost 9 years, right? 9 years that I've been working every day with developers and product managers and CTOs, defining product features and turning them into messaging, watching endless demos all day long, watching features, watching developers developing tools. So in a way, I became technical, even though I'm not an engineer. So PMM, product marketing manager, the industry calls it PMM, right? They're hybrid people because they need to have really good understanding of technology and what it means to the customers, right? But they also need to understand marketing and business, right? And they need to understand how to take this messaging and to take all the things that they understood from the developers and from all the groups and turn them into and write beautiful. So they need to be exceptional writers. They need to articulate, right? They need to be concise. They need to take all these features, be very concise, and tell in a few words or a few lines what it does, right? And then they need to take this messaging and they need to create endless collaterals. They need to create podcasts, webinars, presentation, web pages, right? All the websites, if you look at checkpoint.com. So of course we've been working with the corporate marketing team that sits in San Carlos, but the content itself, like on the product, needs to come from product marketing. So we need to be exceptional writers and have very good expression capabilities. And we need to understand marketing. So we need to understand how social media works and webinars and what format people like and what's not. And we need to understand in campaigns, and we need to understand in click-throughs and all these kinds of terms. So we need to control and be experts in both disciplines.
Right.
This and two different worlds.
And here's one of the many reasons why that's so super important, because all of this work, and I think it's pronounced maybe we're going to get to your comment in just a moment, or your question. One of the reasons I think that's so important is because all of this work, all of these algorithms, calculators, doing all of this stuff, and then figuring out, simplifying it into one sentence. It's what I call my Mark Twain moment, right? Mark Twain was brilliant at packing a punch in one sentence, an entire novel in a sentence, that guy, right? These are the great writers. That's why he's Mark Twain. Everybody's heard of him, right? Shakespeare, right? These kinds of authors just were able to do that. And why it's important is because typically, and we'll get to this question right here, you've got people involved in our industry who then have to take this Harmony product suite that we've put all of this insane amount of engineering into, and they need to go champion it up to their CFO and say, hey, I need this thing. And when they say that, typically the CEO, the CFO, the people involved with the purse strings, even perhaps the CISO, is more of a business skill set, and they need to be able to, now the articulation of our products is on the customers to champion within their organization so that they can get budget to secure their organization. So let's go with this question. I'm going to try the name. Yeah, maybe. I'm sorry, my friend. I'm brutalizing that one for you. The question is this product useful for public network only, or is it for private networks? It's for both, my friend, because look, where there are cyber threats, this is where we need to take care of you. And it's the acceleration of the pandemic means, just think more remote workers. And so those folks are typically coming in through a public network, or typically they have a Wi-Fi at their house that is broadcasting, right? So yes, both networks, most certainly. Anything to add on that one, Dana?
Yeah, I think that what you say is it's pretty. So when I'm connecting to my corporate assets, my Marketo, my Salesforce, these are very sensitive applications, right? I can do it over my private network that could be vulnerable, right?
Right.
And this is what's Harmony for, regardless of where you connect to, from which device, from every network, whether it's vulnerable or secured, whatever you do, Harmony in a way wrap the users, right? Like in a shield, right? So whatever it does, every access he has to the corporate access remains secure. So regardless to what device you use or where you connect from, the connection itself is secure. So yeah.
Right, beautiful. And I want to say a hello just to recognize Isaac for dialing in. Isaac, thank you so much for dialing in to us today from one of my favorite towns, Austin, Texas. I love that place. I have to tell you on a more informal podcast one day about a wonderful surfing experience I had in the Colorado River over there. And new to the field, welcome to cybersecurity. You'll have a job for life, my friend. I don't think threat actors are going away. So you'll have a job for life. So great in the industry. Now, we've got a long one here from, I think that's probably a silent H. So I'm going to go with Jotur. Jotur, you look like maybe a Scandinavian name. I don't know. I hope I'm not hurting you there by saying that, but jump in and let us know if you're not from Scandinavia. Highly recommend taking the security test. So that was the workforce security assessment at checkpoint.com. I actually wrote it into the comments for people listening to the archive later. It is super easy and understandable. This is a great reflection on you, Dana. You're knocking out of the park. This is your baby right here, right? Super easy and understandable, and gives good oversight on your security status for your mobile remote endpoint and so forth. Thank you so much for that feedback.
Much for the feedback. Yeah,
Great
feedback. And I honestly, I'm telling you, Eddie, we've got a lot of good feedbacks on this tool, and we're so happy because this is what we wanted to do. We were beyond, we feel like we're beyond the come to a webinar or read this ebook about, Harmony and how it's good for you and what we can do for you. First, we need to understand the market. Security professionals needs to understand the security posture. They need to understand their vulnerability. Once they understand that, right, this is what the assessment does. We provide them with best practices, right? So what the cool thing about the calculator that I haven't mentioned, that once you finish this 10 questions and you get the report, you get links to learn more about how to close the security gaps. So we've invested so much time on giving them the best practices, right? So these are the protections that you need. And when you choose a solution, these are the top key consideration, right? So it needs to be private and it needs to be secure and comply with GDPR and stuff like that. Right. So it's not just giving you, okay, listen, you have a problem. You have a problem. This is the solution, right? And by the way, we have a solution that can support your needs, right? So I'm a great believer in providing value first. And you know what, Eddie, we recently launched, I don't know if you've seen it, but we've done the same thing because we felt that this was a tremendous success, like the assessment, the app. Like, let's do an app. Like, we created a whole app for the assessment. And so in Halloween is around the corner, right? Like it's in 5-6 days or something. So we've launched a new campaign, like a new application. It's the Halloween phishing quiz.
Okay. So cool. Okay, I haven't heard of this one. This is good. Go on.
I can share my screen and show you now. Just kidding. It's not making an advertisement.
Okay, this is great. So give it to me again. It's the Halloween what?
Halloween phishing quiz. So
Halloween phishing quiz. This is going to be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's cool. If you go to checkpoint.com again, right? It's on the main banner. It's on the carousel band. You can go ahead and start this quiz. This is a security awareness application, right? We ask 10 questions again, right? We pose an email from Checkpoint Research, by the way, all contribution of Checkpoint Research. They gave us 10 different emails, malicious and not malicious, right? Some innocent mails, some malicious mails that they actually found in the wild while doing their research.
Awesome. This is
And
great.
we ask you, right? We ask you,
Okay.
Eddie, look carefully at this email. Is it a malicious email or an innocent email? This is a trick or treat. This is how we call it, the trick or treat application.
Right.
So it's really cool. If you look at it right now, you'll see that there's an animation and stuff like that. So there's a ghost. This is a trick. This is a phishing scam. And there's like a candy. This is a treat.
Okay.
And if you choose, it tells you correct or not correct. So we're doing this is a security awareness training in a way.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
So it's right or wrong. And then not only that, we tell them, listen, you got it wrong. We tell them this is why it's a phishing scam. Look at the indicators. Look at the meta tag. Look at the name of the sender. Look at the sense of urgency. Like this is suspicious, right? So what we've done, we've created a phishing quiz that we've sent to our entire database, to our prospects and customers and partners, and it's ungated, right? You don't have to sign up for anything.
It's amazing.
You don't have to leave in your details or your email. Just go ahead and increase your security awareness. And this is the value that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
We want to provide value from Checkpoint because we have so much knowledge, right, from Checkpoint Research. And we have the knowledge to educate the market. It's very important that, whether you are customers or you want to buy our firewalls or our endpoint security, fine.
Yeah.
But look at the contribution of Checkpoint Research. They're trying to teach you how to avoid phishing scams because phishing scams is bad for everyone.
Right. This is the kind of stuff that really touches my heart, and I think it speaks to the culture of our organization from the top down. Like, I don't like to fanboy over too many people, but our CEO he's pretty cool because he's still actively the CEO. Right. I mean, the man was so successful in his early 20s when he launched this company. Right. Could have easily sailed off into the sunset. No, still works every day, engaged in the company. And so, what does a guy that's so uber successful, who wears black jeans and black T-shirt every day, do? Invests back into the company. So the fact that we've got this, assessment tool that is really in depth, the fact that we've got the phishing scam tool, educational tool, is really coming from an organization that says, look, we want to make the world a safer place, right? The online world a much, much safer place. So, that's threaded through, and I'm pleased you're doing it too. I want to get to Bhupender's question while we're chatting as well. So Bhupender, thanks for coming back with another question. Can we combine appliances from other vendors on Harmony? I'm asking because if a company wants to slowly move on from their existing vendors to Harmony, how do we take care of that transition? It's a good question because, yes, you want to make sure you transition carefully. What are your thoughts, Dana, before I jump in with an opinion?
So I guess you can you can purchase part of Harmony, right? You can start with the components that you need. You can start with, and I think that most of our customers are on their way to have the entire Harmony suite.
Right.
It takes time, right? Because you have your stock that you already purchased. So yeah, in a way, all security stacks works together. Everything can work together. But in the end of the day, your end game, if you're a security professional, is looking to reduce security man hours and increase security level, that you would want to consolidate. And we've been doing a lot of survey, Eddie, around consolidation.
Okay.
To make sure that we are aligned with the market needs, with their pains, that we're not just throwing consolidation everywhere. And we found out, and we performed several surveys with our survey team, and I think that more than a half are looking right now into consolidate their security stack to one vendor, and even more. Even more are planning to do that in the near future. Yes, because at the end of the day, how many consoles can you manage? How many procurement process can you manage? Support, stuff like that.
And here's my response to you, Bhupinder. I mean, look, one thing I love to say is complexity is the enemy of security, right? If security isn't simple, it isn't followed. This is why we have a problem with passwords. Right? Alphanumeric passwords is not a thing that the human brain easily remembers. Now, perhaps the employees at Checkpoint, because they think in ones and zeros and IP addresses, but for the most part, people, use sticky notes and have to try and get around. This is a whole problem, this whole password thing that the industry created. We created that issue when we know full well that passphrases are easier to remember and more secure than alphanumeric 8-digit only passwords. All right. So I understand, though, Bhupinder, the transition that you want to make from having things, you've already got contracts out there that aren't due for 2 years. I mean, this is the part of the decision-making process. It's not just technical. So we have a couple of things. One, if you talk to a local Checkpoint representative, we actually have a buyback program because we understand the challenging situation you're in. So if you did want to test our metal, against your organization by first taking that test, the workforce security assessment, and then actually perhaps getting some demo licenses in, you can do that. And we'll actually buy those old contracts off of you, right, to help you get into a much smoother experience. Or what you certainly can do is do that slowly. We'll bring you in very slowly. You don't have to check all the boxes. You don't have to license absolutely everything. But bear in mind what both Dana and I are sort of highly recommending against is that you would then have multiple things to manage. And that's the complexity that, you see, when you have too many blinking lights in the data center, the probability that you miss a black swan event is higher than the probability that one of those blinking lights is actually telling you something intelligent, right? Which is why you want to try and bring it into one console, right? And we think you can certainly get if you're an enterprise company, let's say with 50, 60,000 employees, and certainly by all means, we have small to medium business customers as well. But we think even big companies can get their number of cyber vendors down to way less than 10. We've really been looking at this for years. And as Dana just said, part of our surveys, we're talking about, consolidation with people. Yeah. All right, Dana. So what else then? So you're launching these great products. You're doing so much work before the customer even sees the word harmony, right? All of this background. And then, once it's in the marketplace, what else is a head of product marketing doing? So harmony is now in the marketplace. What are you now looking at? How are you assessing the success and viability, the adoption of this new tool?
Yeah, that's the preparation for the launch and the launch itself, it's good, and it's a big part of my role and my team's role, right? I want to mention that I have a team, a product marketing manager. They're doing a lot. It's not that I'm holding it all together. So we're all working as a team. So the thing is that once it's launched, it never ends. It's a never-ending story. We are monitoring the performance of our programs in every asset that we've created, whether it's the Halloween quiz, whether it's the assessment, whether it's every ebook or buyer's guide to internet access security that we recently launched. We're always keep finding new ways to deliver it to the right audience, right? So let's say we wrote a buyer's guide to internet access security. So we prepared an ebook. How would I expose how would I expose a large amount of security professionals to this content, right? So I need to identify the media outlets. I need to maybe run a webinar and turn this ebook into a presentation. And maybe I can record a podcast and take the same message on different formats and sending it through different directions, all kinds of different media outlets, or maybe collaborate with influencers, or maybe working with our partners. For example, we took the assessment, the remote workforce security assessment. We've done something really cool. We created a co-branded app with the partners. As you know, Checkpoint works with partners, right, to distribute products and sell them. So we created an amazing value for our partners because we've created for each one of them a co-branded remote workforce security app that they can embed on their website, and they can generate leads on their own and spread the word on remote workforce security assessment on their own. And so we put their logo next to our logo, right? And they're running their own campaigns. I know you had Lauren last week. She talks about the co-branded campaigns and the marketplace. So we're working really close with Lauren. We're working really close with everybody. But so this is a partner-centric program, right? Where we provide added value to our programs and help help them sell our products and help them generate demands for Harmony. So
Right.
always taking our partner into consideration.
Well, and they're the feet on the street too, right? I mean, you know, we've got what are we in, just over 90 countries right now, and but obviously we don't have employees in every one. We've got about 6,000 employees, and so you know, that allows you, I suppose, working with the partners, to have ears and eyes right at the street level, right where the customers are, right where the action's happening, in addition to all of our checkpoint research people. So it's very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So
well,
spreading it everywhere and, you know, monitoring the performance and keep doing it all the time.
Yeah. An hour's almost flown by, so I think we can start to wrap. This was absolutely fantastic. It was really great for me. Thank you so much, Dana, for taking time out of your day. It's late over there in Tel Aviv. Actually, I have to say that about all our head office colleagues. It's like you guys work 24/7. You're always available when I need you. And I know you're in, because, you know, so much of life is very America centric, you know, especially when you're living so close to New York, or let's say, you know, California type offices. And so whenever we need you, you're there. I've got to thank you for it, because it's your evening time. How you have such a quiet house in the evening is amazing, by the way.
I arranged it, but it's not quiet at all at these times of the days. You know, I have 2 kids, and these hours are my hardest hours of the day. So this is a miracle, and thank you for having me and having the opportunity to be alone at the house at this time. So
wonderful. It's me that thanks you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out more information, most certainly, as I said, you can find me very easily, Edwin Eddie Doyle, on LinkedIn, in Manhattan. You'll find me. Otherwise, go to checkpoint.com. You'll find a lot of information there. But I'd love to continue the conversation publicly over LinkedIn or YouTube with your comments and other research. So I'm going to end the broadcast right there, Dana, and you and I will continue to chat. Thanks for being with us, everybody.